Okay, I think I mentioned to you earlier in the week that College Board hosted a webinar last night talking about testing coming up. So it was an hour long, lots of questions, lots of answers, but still not everything. So I'm going to share with you most of what we talked about. I will say this, two things that I'm absolutely certain of. The first thing is this: don't panic. I know this is going to be weird taking tests at home. And I know one of your fears may be, what happens if, my computer crashes or I hit a wrong button or whatever. One thing is clear, that if you have some sort of technical difficulty, there will be a way of reporting that at the end of the test window, electronically to the College Board, and they'll review the circumstances, and if they decide that it's reasonable, then you will be eligible to test again on the makeup day, which is in June. Somewhere, I think it's June 4th. I don't remember, but you will be eligible to retest completely on the makeup day. Let's say you're home and your little sister won't leave you alone, standing outside your room crying, beating on the door, and you can't concentrate. If your testing environment was not optimal, then again, you can apply via the electronic or the online website that you'll be connected to. You can apply for a retest and they'll review your case. And if they agree, then you can retest on the retest day, which is, like I said, early June. So one of my biggest fears is what happens. Let's say a thunderstorm rolls through and we lose power, something beyond your capability. Then that would certainly fall under the guidelines of a technical difficulty, and you can be eligible to retest. So don't panic about taking your test at home. So one thing that I do want to double check with all of you, I want to confirm that you have the internet connectivity that you need, and B, the mobile tool that you need, whether it's a laptop or a Chromebook. This thing will be designed for you to do your entire test from your phone if you want. However, if you feel uncomfortable with taking a test on your phone, then there are two ways that you can get some assistance. I think the school would provide you a Chromebook, or we can apply directly to the College Board, and they have purchased literally thousands of devices. They said devices. Now, I don't know if it's a Chromebook or a tablet or what. I don't know. But the College Board, there is a way that we can apply. So if you're concerned about the device you have to test with, then you need to let me know right away, quick. Today is better. If we're going to apply to the College Board, the deadline is April 24th. But I do know the school has purchased a large number of Chromebooks. I can see if those are available. But if you have a laptop or a tablet that you're comfortable with, then you'll probably be fine. But if you've got nothing but your phone and you're nervous about taking a test on the phone, there is a way to get around that. You just need to let me know so that I can help you. Let's see, what else okay, so somewhere around the 28th of April, so roughly 2 weeks from today, you should be receiving an email from the College Board to the email that you signed up for AP Classroom with. Okay, so whatever email, whether it was your school email or your personal Gmail account, whatever email you signed up for AP Classroom, you should be receiving an email from them that has a kind of a guide to test day. It's gonna start explaining the process for what the test is gonna be like. And there will be a worksheet for you to fill out and to return to them. And I think it's gonna be a simple thing. But it is really just a method to test how you receive data from them via their system and how you submit your data to them, from your home so that they can receive it. So it's kind of a test run, if you will, of how that's going to work. The good news is you do not have to download any specific software, or you do not have to use any particular browser to take the test. So you can use Google Chrome, Safari. If any of you are dumb enough to use Internet Explorer now, you have to scoot along. I will be with you in just a minute, okay?
Okay.
Sorry. So you don't have to use a particular browser. All you have to do is be able to connect to their website. And then around the 1st of May, you will get an e-ticket sent to your email address. And basically, that ticket will have a link that on the day of the test, somewhere between 15 and 30 minutes before the test, you'll click that link and you'll begin the protocols to enter their test site. Now, this is going to be a highly secure process. And I don't think a single one of you have even thought about how to gain an unfair advantage on this test, knowing you like I know you. But if you do, think that, hey, I'm going to be testing at home, I'll find a way around it to improve my score. They didn't reveal what kind of protocols they're using, but they are using multiple protocols to prevent cheating. And in fact, they've already caught one AP Physics students attempting to cheat. Now, how that went down, they didn't describe, and I probably wouldn't understand it anyway. But they will have multiple protocols, including sending your results, your responses to me to review, so that I can read over that and say, oh, yeah, that looks like something, yeah, that looks like Skylar McLevain's handwriting. Or, yeah, that looks like the kind of work that I've been seeing from Addie or Bethany throughout the year. Students who are doing well but not expert at this material all year long shouldn't all of a sudden have a perfect, pristine response, okay? So I get to personally review, which that's never been a part of the thing. They will also be employing all sorts of plagiarism protocols, looking for work that's plagiarized, things like that. So just be honest, do your best work. I will tell you this, do not expect to finish both questions. They are loading each question with enough parts to the question to keep you busy for 25 minutes on the first question and for 20 minutes on the second question. And it is possible to get a 5 without answering all the parts. So don't panic. If there are 6 parts to the question and you get 4 of them done, then don't panic, okay? You're probably still in good shape. But the most important thing is once you start the test, you will be moved automatically from one part of the test to the next. You don't have to push a start and a stop. And once it starts, there'll be a timer on your screen counting down the number of minutes to the next event. And when the timer says it's time to submit your answer, wherever you are, stop and submit your answer. The only way that you can't be scored is if you don't submit your answer. Don't take that extra 5 minutes and try to scratch out a really, really quick answer to the last part or the last 2 parts. Stop where you are and make sure you get that thing submitted. Now, I know many of you have relatively slow internet connections, and I know you're worried about that. As long as you click on the submit button before the submission time is up, their software will allow a slow data connection to continue uploading your document, whatever that is, whether it's a photo, whether it's a Word document or a Google Doc that you're typing on, whatever it is, that their software will allow your submission to go on in background while you're working on part 2. So the key thing is when the timer runs out on the first part and it's time to submit, stop and submit. Now, if you're like me, if you're kind of old school and you're like me and you like writing your answer on a test page, and if you have a printer at home, you will have the opportunity to print the questions on your printer and write your answers out on that document, and then you can take a picture of that or scan it, send it to them, however you want to get it to them. But that's not required. You can send them a blank piece of paper with your answers written on it, or you can send a Google Doc with your answer typed out. I think they will allow you to submit 2 files for each question. So maybe there's a handwritten or a typed out portion, and then maybe you snap a picture of a graph or something else that you have to do. So, but the main thing is make sure you pay attention to the timer, and when it runs out and it's time to submit, that you take that 5 minutes and make sure you get something submitted. Because once the submission window closes on the first question, there is no way to go back and submit. You can't submit both of them at the very last. You have to do one question, submit, and then start working on the second one, and then you submit that one. And like I said, their software will move you automatically like a conveyor almost through those time windows. So when it's time to submit, wherever you are, stop and make sure you get it submitted. The worst thing that you can do is not have something submitted. Okay, and if for some reason you have a technical problem while you're trying to submit, then don't panic. There will be some way for you to submit kind of a help ticket or some sort of request for them to consider. Let's see. You will need to print or have a copy of the formula sheet handy. If the formula sheet you have is ragged and you want me to send you a clean copy, I can. I'll be happy to do that. I'll be happy to send you a PDF so that you can print it at home if you want, whatever. But you do need a copy of their formula sheet, and I have those. That's no problem. I assume the table data that you will need will be provided in the question somehow. If nothing else, it's in the back of your book. Okay, I don't think there is a prohibition from using tables in the back of the book, but I know there'll be an opportunity for us to answer that more fully later. One thing they do suggest is that while you're testing, if you have a little brother or older brother that's going to be sitting in the room next to you playing Fortnite, and somebody else is going to be streaming Netflix, that during the testing time you ask them to stop and make sure that you have as much bandwidth through your connection as possible. So that you minimize the opportunity for technical problem. So talk to your folks about making sure nobody's playing Fortnite or whatever while you're testing to make sure you have enough bandwidth. But the main thing. Yeah, the main thing is there's a way to request a retest if you have some sort of unexpected interruption, whether it's a technical one or whether it's just an environment. For example, you come to my house and you take the test back here in the back bedroom and Blue won't stop barking and you're just distracted and you can't get that out of your mind, or baby's crying, or I don't know, whatever it is. There's a way to request an opportunity to retest. The College Board will review your request, and then if they think it was reasonable, then they'll issue another ticket to take the test automatically on the test day. If you're registered for the test and for some reason you're sick that day, allergies or whatever, you're sick that day, if you don't log in to take the test on test day, then you will automatically be granted an e-ticket to take the test on the makeup day. So if you don't show up on May 22nd, then you'll automatically be given a chance to take the test on, I'm sure it's June 4th. I know it's early June, but I think it's June 4th. Over the next 2 or 3 weeks, you will be getting, like I said, a couple of emails from them. You'll be getting links to their website that will kind of walk you through the registration process, the security protocols. There'll be, I envision it being a kind of a YouTube video that shows you the step-by-step process on the day of the test that you need to go through, so that on the day of the test, this won't be the first time you've seen it. They'll show you how to submit your documents, and all of that kind of stuff. So you'll be getting personalized not personalized, but you'll be getting individual invitations to view those things. I encourage you to take the time to go through and do all of that, to make sure you're familiar with it as much as you can be before test day arrives. Now, these questions I anticipate being, like I said earlier, I anticipate them being multi-step questions. You know, we've seen a lot of free response questions that have 3 or 4 parts to them. I don't anticipate a question being that small in scope. I anticipate the question having several parts, 6, 7 parts that you may have to draw a histogram or parallel box plots for the first part. Then you may have to talk about whether this was a observational study or an experiment, or you may have to design an experiment. Would you do a simple or a completely randomized design, or do you need a block design, or and then you might be asked to talk about what we're in the same question. You calculate the mean and standard deviation for the sampling distribution. All of that stuff, you may have to go through all of those steps. And so one of the questions that was asked is, what's the best way to prepare you for this? And honestly, the best way to prepare is for us just to practice all of those steps. Now, there's no way I can anticipate how they'll put these questions together. But the best way for us to do that is to prepare is just to review several times a week material from all the way back to the first of the year. And so basically from now till test day, at least 2 days a week, I'm going to pull out questions that are from previous chapters. Hopefully you'll look at that and say, oh, that's no problem. Today we'll look at one. Hopefully you'll think this is pretty straightforward. And if it is, that's good news. If it's not, then you've got your textbook, the sections of this question that you struggle with. Go back and look over that again, refresh your memory on what to do there. If you see, hey, I need more practice with this, let me know. I can work that in to our discussions. My job right now is really just to facilitate your preparation. Now, we do have some new material to talk about, and I'll start there tomorrow. We'll be talking about constructing confidence intervals and making inferences, and we need to spend a day or two talking about linear regression. That's a topic I skipped over, but honestly, if we spend a day or two over it, I show you one example, I think you'll be more than fine. You've seen it at some level before. I think it's pretty straightforward. So, but we will hit on that before test day. But I think if we go through one good example, I think you'll be fine. So I'll stop there. I've talked for 25 minutes. Do any of you have questions so far about the test?
What if we go back to school?
Good question. My assumption is that you'll take the test at school, but it will be this modified test. I do not, in fact, I'm quite certain we will not go back to the old format. I mean, they're spending hours and hours and hours preparing essentially 3 different tests for statistics, and they've got, I don't know, 30 different AP courses that they're doing the same thing for. And so I don't envision this year taking a standard format test in any of your classes. I think all of them, even if we go back to school, I mean, you'll take the test at school in a school environment, but I think it'll be this 2-question free response format. And man, ideally, that for me, that's the best possible scenario, is that we get back to school and you're all able to take it in a rather controlled environment where the technical difficulties are minimized. But that's the best scenario we can have as far as I'm concerned. But I assume it will still be this modified format. Any others? Any other questions? Okay. Well, if something does come up, or if you don't get an email from the College Board around the 28th, then you should let me know so that either myself or Miss McKinney can get in touch with the College Board and see what's going on there. But I would be looking for that email through whatever email address you're accessing AP Classroom. So if it's your school email and you don't check it every day, then on the 28th or the 29th, you should make a point to go back, and I'll circle these dates on my calendar and remind you as we get closer to the date that you should, to check it and be ready. But I anticipate that'll be the first time you hear from them, will be somewhere around the 28th. But most importantly, if you need some sort of technical support in terms of a device to take this test, let me know. I'm certain the school will help out. If the school for some reason can't help, the College Board is available, but the deadline for that is the 24th. So there is a clock ticking there. So just let me know if you need some sort of mobile device help, and help is available there. I don't want you to have to worry about that. Now, for those of you who have limited internet connection, or maybe it's unstable because you live out in the middle of nowhere, you might consider going to a relative's house that has a better connection, something like that, so that you can be as confident as possible that your internet service isn't going to be a problem. Now, there are no streaming demands. There's no video going on that day. So it's, I know many of you can't join these classes very easily just because your internet doesn't provide streaming very well. You won't have to worry about that. If you can access their website on the day that you do the trial run and all that goes well, then you should be fine. But if you have trouble with that trial run around the 28th, then you might consider testing at some other location other than your own bedroom. I would offer you my space, but somebody would probably fuss about that. But anyway, those are things to be thinking about. Okay, any other questions? Okay, we got about 10 minutes left here. Let's take a look at a simple Well, hopefully it's a simple question. In your textbook on page 464, this is a practice, a cumulative practice test. This is supposed to simulate AP free response questions, and quite honestly, each of these questions is at the level of a typical AP free response question. Now, the questions that you will see at the end of May will have more parts. I guarantee you that they'll have more parts. But in terms of the level of difficulty, I think this is what you're going to see. Okay. So page 464, question 223, 2.23. It's a question about blood types in humans. And so you can see there a two-way table of data, two different variables, ethnic group and blood type, and various levels of each variable. And so immediately you look at this and you think, oh, this is a conditional probability question, and there's certainly that. And so hopefully you'll look at this and say, hey, this is pretty straightforward, but let's walk our way through it and see how it goes. Okay, so 4 major blood types in humans, O, A, B, and AB. There was a study conducted using blood specimens from a blood bank in Hawaii. Individuals were classified according to blood type and ethnic group. The ethnic groups were Hawaiian, Hawaiian white, Hawaiian Chinese, and white. And suppose a blood bank specimen is selected at random. Okay, so the two-way table shows us all of the data that was collected from these samples. Now, what it does not do, this table does not provide you marginal values. Okay, so as we work our way through the question, we will have to go and figure out some of these marginal values. A test-taking strategy here is, my suggestion is, do not right now at the beginning of the question go through and do all of the marginal values for each row and for each column. Most likely you won't need all of that. So let the questions dictate which marginal values you calculate, just to save time, quite honestly. Now, one thing that you will certainly have to figure out is the total. So you will need to, you'll need to do at least the column marginal data or the row marginal data to be able to get that total that goes in the bottom right-hand corner of the table. In other words, how many samples are included in the study. So you're going to have to do at least one of those marginal rows or columns, but don't do both of them quite yet. Hey there. So anyway, let's take a look at part A. Find the probability that the specimen contains type O blood or comes from Hawaiian Chinese ethnic group, and show your work. Okay, so this is a probability of A or B, and here's where I suggest go back and look at your formula sheet for that probability of A or B formula, just so that you don't forget to subtract out part of it. Remember the formula. The probability of A or B is equal to the probability of A plus the probability of B minus the probability of A and B. If you remember the formula, it looks like that. And the easiest thing to do here is to forget to subtract off that intersection, because when you look at the probability of A, and then you calculate the probability of B, you're including this intersection twice. Okay, and so make sure you subtract off that A and B. So let's take a quick look at how we might go through that. We'll say that A is type O. A is type O. B is Hawaiian Chinese. Okay, so the probability of A is the row data for type O. So 1903 plus 4469 plus 2206 plus 53,759. And that is fiddlesticks. I didn't write it down. Doggone it. The total is 145,057. 1903, 4469 plus 2206 plus 53,759. So that's 62,337.
It's over.
60.
It's over.
Okay. Okay, I'll be with you in a minute.
Okay.
All right. 62,337 over 145,057. Probability of B is how many Hawaiian Chinese are there? And that is 2206 plus 2368 plus 568 plus 243. 5385 over 145,057. And then the probability of A and B is where those two intersect, which is 2206. 2206 over 145,057. So if you add these two together and subtract that, you should get about 65,000. So the probability of A or B will end up being 65,516. 65,000. Yeah, 516 over 145,057. And that's approximately 0.452. Okay, if I did my arithmetic correctly there, I think those all work out. So part B, what's the probability that the specimen contains type AB blood given that it comes from the Hawaiian ethnic group? Now again, this is a conditional probability question. And again, I encourage you to go back and look at your formula. The probability of A given B is the probability of A and B times the probability of B, I believe. Okay, I believe that's what it looks like. So when you go work that through, the probability of let's see, probability of AB given that it comes from the Hawaiian ethnic group. So you can eliminate everything that does not belong to Hawaiian ethnic group, and you get 99 that are type AB, and then when you add the column of Hawaiians, 1903 plus 2490 plus 178 plus 99. The denominator there is 4,670. So the probability of AB given Hawaiian should be 99 over 4670. 4670, and that's about 0.021, I think, 0.021, about 2% chance. Okay. Are the events type B blood and Hawaiian ethnic group independent? Well, what we have to do to check those two is to see if the probability of being Hawaiian is equal to the probability of being Hawaiian given that it's type B. You have to calculate those two probabilities separately and see if they're equal. I won't go through that, but you should get, let me clear off this part here. You should find that the probability of being Hawaiian is about 0.032, I think. Yeah, and the probability of being Hawaiian given type B is about 0.01. And since those two are not equal, probability of being Hawaiian is not equal to the probability of being Hawaiian given type B, they are not independent. So if that whole process is a little fuzzy to you, then I encourage you to go back and look through that in your notes or in the textbook. We went through several questions in class that were similar to this. And then, so part D, now suppose that we draw two blood banks specimens selected at random. So these are out of the 145,000 different specimens, we randomly select two of them. Find the probability that at least one contains type A blood from the white ethnic group. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is calculate the probability that you have type A blood given you're from the white ethnic group. And so that value will be type A is 50,008 divided by the total number in the white ethnic group, which is, if you add up that column, 145,057, I think, 145,057. That's about 0.345. Okay. So, now we need to know the probability that we get two of the, that we get at least one from two random samples.
Are you finding A given it's white, or are you finding A and white?
Type A it's A and white. Thank you, Riley. A and white. Yeah, that I don't know why I said A given that. Sorry, but you're right. It's A and white, that they're from that group, okay? That makes more sense. Yeah. And so now I need to know what's the probability that I take two samples and one of them is from this group or both of them. It says find the probability that at least one of the two specimens contains type A blood from the white ethnic group. Okay.
Hmm?
So there are lots of ways to skin the cat. And when I come across a question that says, find the probability that at least one of something, my mind goes to a tree diagram. And then in this case, there are only two choices, the first specimen and the second specimen. So it's a pretty straightforward tree diagram. So the way we would diagram that is the first specimen, it's either yes or no from that group. Okay, and if the probability is, if it's yes, if the first specimen is from that group, then the probability of that occurring is 0.345. If we draw the first specimen and it's not from that group, then it's the complement of that, which is 0.655. Okay, and then we draw the second specimen. We take the second specimen. And again, the second specimen could be from that group or it could not be. And so if it is, the probability is 0.345. If it's not, the probability is 0.655. Hold on just a second. Yes. You need to wait just a minute. I'll be with you. Okay. All right. I'll be with you in a few minutes. Go back and watch your movie. Okay.
But it's over though.
It is? Okay. We'll go back and play with your toys on the floor. Okay. And so for the second specimen, if the first one was not, the second one could be, or the second one could not be. And if it is, then the probability of that occurring is 0.345. The probability of it not occurring is 0.655. And now we want to find the probabilities where I end up, the branches where I end up with at least one. Well, this branch gives me at least one. This branch gives me at least one. And then this branch here gives me at least one. So I could look at this and say, well, the easiest way is just to take these two, multiply them together and subtract from one, take the complement, because that tells me which way doesn't work. Or I could just add up all these three. So the way I did it, I added up the three that did work. And so if you take 0.345 times 0.345, you get 0.1190. The second branch here would be 0.345 times 0.655, and that is 0.2260. And then this branch is the same thing, 0.655 times 0.345. 2260. If you add all of those up, you get 0.571. And so that's our probability that at least one of the two samples comes from this group, is type A and from the white ethnic group. Okay. There are, like I said, there are more than one way of skinning this cat. But when I see this problem, I think of a tree diagram. That's probably because I'm a visual learner and I like to draw pictures of every problem I face. You might look at it a little bit different. You might say, well, there are three ways to arrange this to work out. I could have a yes, yes, I could have a yes, no. I could have a no and then a yes, which is essentially this right here. And then you can calculate the probabilities. And the reason we can do this is, first of all, we know the samples are independent, or we can make the assumption that they're independent. So that allows us just to multiply the probabilities and not have to worry about any conditional cases going on there. Okay. All right. Hopefully you feel comfortable with what we did here. And if you saw something there that was a little confusing, then let me know. We'll go back and we can talk about it, or you can review it on your own. Okay. So I've taken up a lot more of your time than I intended to today. So here's what we're going to do. Tomorrow we will not have class. I have a special assignment. I won't tell you what it is, but I have a special assignment going on tomorrow afternoon. But here's what I'm going to do. When I'm done here, I'll go ahead and post 2 NTI assignments, one due tomorrow and one due on Friday. And basically they're going to be questions 24 and 25 on the very next page. Okay. Same kind of level of rigor. Again, they go back and review things that I'm pretty sure you're going to see something about at least one of these, if not both of them, somewhere on the exam. Interpreting graphical data is question 24, and then performing a simulation, question 25. I'm almost sure you're going to see something like this. So I think it's a good idea we practice. So question 24, we'll do that for Thursday. Question 25, we'll do for Friday. In addition, we've still got the AP Classroom question that I posed to you guys. I left it open on Friday when we get back together. If you still have questions about that one, that's the question about, well, I've forgotten it now. Somebody help me remember. Anyway, I remember it talked about type 1 error. It's the pool question, the pH level in the public swimming pools. That's it. So if you can't finish that one by Friday when we get back together at 1, make sure you have questions. I'll be glad to help you out. Or if you want to send me questions along the way, I'll be available in the morning tomorrow, and this afternoon some I'll be available. If you want to send me questions about that one, let me know. I know that a few of you have already started it. I didn't check today to see if anybody finished, but I know many of you have already started it. Okay. All righty. Any other questions? Well, like I say every day, it's good to see your faces, good to hear your voice. And for some of you, in some of your cases, it's good to see your ceiling fan, Bethany. But anyway, guys, I miss you. I hope we get together soon. And like Skylar said, I hope we take this test at school. I really do. So we'll see. Y'all stay safe, and I will see you on Friday again. If you have questions, though, don't hesitate to holler out. All right. We'll see you guys later.